This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Recording in progress.
Okay, Agunar Shabbos, everyone. I hope everybody is besimcha. I hope everybody is getting ready for Shabbos. What could be a better way to get ready for Shabbos than to learn how this week's Parsha connects to the time of the year? Now, we have some very important announcements. Firstly, somebody told me that in Mishpacha magazine on page 77, there's an ad for our upcoming Yarchei Kala. That means it's real. So I want everyone to mark on their calendar, March 3rd to March 5th. Please join us. We have an amazing sugya. We're going to have Shiurim. It's going to be spectacular. So I know you enjoy listening to the Shiurim online. This will give everyone a lot of chizuk, and it will be very wonderful to see everyone in person. Reb Shmuel is a very proud Jew. Hi, Reb Shmuel. How are you? Welcome. So,
good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning. Oh, hi, Reb Shmuel. And I'm saying to my friend Reb Shmuel, who has revealed himself as a very proud Jew as well. So wherever you may live, whether you live in Kew Garden Hills or if you live in the Netherlands or Holland, you could join us at our Yarchei Kala. Okay, so Davar, Yafeh, V'itai. Here we go. Let me see. No, I have to pull up the Maramakoimos. Here we go. 1 second. Now, if you want to know, how do you get the Maramakoimos? So I thought you might ask that question. And that's the way to get the Maramakoimos is you go to our site, rabbidg.com, and you hit the subscribe button. And you know what that does? That will send the Maramakoimos to your inbox twice a week. And this way you don't have to rely on anyone. It will come right to you. You don't even have to open up your front door. You don't have to worry, is there mail today? Is there no mail today? We're even better than the mail. The mail doesn't get stopped by snow, not by weather, but it does get stopped by Saturday. It does get stopped on Sunday or legal holidays. This mail, nothing stops it. You're going to get the Maramakoimos. You'll be able to print it out for your family. So here we go. We already learned from the Sefer Chamra Tava and last week that discussed that Makas Arba began on Tu B'Shvat. Did you realize that? That the Makkah of Arba, the opening Makkah of this week's Parsha, happened on Tu B'Shvat. It's something that we discussed at length in our Sefer on Tu B'Shvat, which, by the way, if you want to learn about Tu B'Shvat, I humbly recommend get a hold of the Sefer, The Light and the Splendor, where part of the book is on Tu B'Shvat. The Chamra Tava reveals that the Makkah of Tu B'Shvat, the Makkah of Arba, happened on Tu B'Shvat, which is pretty amazing, because Makas Arba destroyed the fruits, and Tu B'Shvat, of course, is the Yom Tif of the fruits. So therefore, very often, we read Parshas Boi, the Shabbos before Tu B'Shvat, and Parshas Boi, the opening Makkah, begins with the Makkah that occurred on Tu B'Shvat. According to this, we could answer a well-known question. Wednesday night, we discussed the question that why are the Makkos broken up 7 in Va'era and 3 in Bai? That's a very unusual breakdown. That's a very unusual split. And we discussed the whole Mahalach based on the Yalkut Ruveni and Reb Tzadok HaKoyen, that the Makkos correspond to the Spherois. But now we're Zoicha to understand a new answer, a new explanation. Namely, the first 7 Makkos, so the new explanation is as follows. Since Parshas Boi, we read in the Parsha before Tu B'Shvat, therefore the Parshas Boi begins with Arba, which occurred on Tu B'Shvat. In other words, another explanation for the breakdown of the Makkos is in order to schedule, so to speak, that Parshas Boi, which is the Parsha we read before Tu B'Shvat, opens up with the Makkah that occurred on Tu B'Shvat. We could add the following idea, and this was suggested by my friend Rabbi Yisrael Eliezer Levi that we've said over many times the amazing approach of Reb Simcha Bunim of Parshas in the Sefer Kol Simcha, that the only makkah that Hashem did not tell Moshe Rabbeinu what the makkah was going to be was Arba. Look in the beginning of the Parsha. All it says, what is Boi el Parai, come to Parai. Yeah, come to Parai and do what? Hashem didn't tell Moshe what to say to Parai. Look in the Ramban. The Ramban addresses this. Another issue Reb Simcha Bunim deals with is why by Arba it's the only time Parai said, Chatasi l'Hashem leikeichem elachem, I sinned to Hashem your God and to you. Why Dafka to you? Why Dafka to you? And Reb Simcha Bunim of Parshas explains that when it comes to this makkah, the makkah of Arba, Hashem actually gave permission to Moshe Rabbeinu to choose any makkah he would want. Utilizing the Chiddush of Torah Sheba'al Peh, Moshe was empowered to choose any makkah he would want. And Moshe was mechadesh the makkah of Arba through a Gzeira Shava. It says here, Ulaman Tisaper. It says Ulaman Tisaper. And it says in Sefer Yoel, Aleha Levanechem Saperu. So utilizing the procedure of Gzeira Shava, Moshe Rabbeinu invented Arba. And this is why it says by Arba, Is Asher Hisalalti. Arba was a mockery of the Egyptians, because Hashem told Moshe, play with them, do whatever you want with them. But Moshe Rabbeinu utilized the kayach of the Torah Sheba'al Peh. But it's not a coincidence that Moshe Rabbeinu was empowered with this ability, Dafka, in the month of Shvat. We just learned that the Makkah of Arba was in Shvat. Shvat, we read in the beginning of Devarim, that Moshe Rabbeinu in the 11th month, on the first of the month, Moshe Rabbeinu began to explain the Torah, saying. So it's Moshe Rabbeinu was able to invent this Makkah Davka in Chodesh Shvat. Chodesh Shvat is the month of Torah Sheba'al Peh. As we know, Moshe Rabbeinu began teaching the Torah to the Jewish people in the month of Shvat. Now, an amazing remez my friend in France, Rabbi Rafal Ansel, shared with me, is the Parsha begins, Boi el Parai. The Ateres Yeshua of Jacob says, Parai is Gematria Shvat Deli. The month of Shvat, bucket. We know the bucket is the mazel of Chodesh Shvat. And the pasuk continues, Laman Shisi. Rashi says the word Shisi means simi, to place. The gematria of simi is shoivivim. Shoivivim. My friend, Rabbi Avram Kogelman, would be very happy that I mentioned that it's now shoivivim. It's a time to focus on Inyane Kedusha. So simi has the numerical value of shoivivim when we're makayim, when we're masakin that pagam. Oisoisai. Oisoisai is a remez to the Ois Bris Kodesh. So Laman Shisi. Shisi is Gematria Shoivivim. Oisoisai is a remez to the Ois Bris Kodesh. Eila Bekirbai. Bekirbai is Gematria Keri, which is a remez that during this time of the year it's a time to be masakin the sin of Tumas Keri. Now, the time of Shoivivim is when we're masaking the sparks of Kedusha that fell into the Klippa because of the Keri of Adam Arishan. We explained this in greater depth in Parsha Shemais. So in this week's Parsha, we continue to read about the tikkun of these nitzotzos of Kedusha. Ad kedei kach, that the pasuk says, Vayinatzlu es Mitzrayim, they emptied out Egypt. Chasam Sofer HaChadash writes that they were able to extract all the sparks of Kedusha. And that's why we're warned never again to go to Mitzrayim, because we have no business there anymore, because we've extracted all the sparks of Kedusha. Now here's another interesting point that I saw in the Sefer Moyadei Kachecha of Rabbi Chanan Yaakov David Rabinowitz. regarding the mitzvah of shechting the Karban Pesach. The Ramban says, why do we shecht the Karban Pesach? The Karban Pesach was a sheep, a tleh. The mazel of Nisan is tleh. Tleh is the mazel of the Mitzrim. Now it's interesting, by Makas Arbe, Paroi became contrite. He said, okay, who wants to go? Who's going? And then Choshech, Paroi subdued himself further. But all of a sudden, as Makas B'chayris is coming, Paroi feels empowered again. He's arrogant again. The Aruch HaShulchan explains because Paroi said, if only I could get close to the month of Nisan, whose mazel is Teleh, who's the mazel of the Mitzrim, Paroi felt I'd be able to overcome them. Therefore Hashem said, no, you take the mazel of the Mitzrayim and you destroy it, to show that you're not leaving Mitzrayim with the power of the mazel. You override, you supersede any mazalos. Now this is a very important limud this month, because we already learned, we said, that the mazel of Chodesh Shvat is deli, bucket. And the Bnei Yissaschar says that the deli, the bucket, is actually the mazel of the Jewish people. Although ein mazel Yisrael, that means not that we don't have any mazel inherently, we do. Our mazel is deli, and therefore we could use it for whatever we need. We could overcome the mazel. The month of Shvat, which is the mazel of deli, is the mazel of Yisrael. This indicates that, not that we're not subject to mazalis, but we could overcome it. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu began to teach the Torah in the month of Shvat, like we mentioned before. To teach Klal Yisrael that Ein Mazal Yisrael, we are not subject to the mazalis, we're only subject to the Torah. Therefore, Parshas Boy comes out in the month of Shvat, because in Parshas Boy we see how we can overcome the mazal, how we could overcome mazal tleh, which is really one of the great principles of this month, of the month of Shvat, which is the month of the Deli, which indicates that our mazel is completely subject to how we fill it up. Okay. Now, I want to share with you what I think is a very beautiful idea. The Chayz of Lublin taught that when you read a certain Parsha, you get a flavor for that time of the year. And therefore he taught, when you read this week's Parsha, Parshas Boy, you get a flavor for Pesach. Because Parshas Boy talks about Yetzias Mitzrayim, talks about the Exodus. We read Parshas Boy on Pesach. The Chayz of Lublin taught that when you read this week's Parsha, you get a flavor for Pesach. Now this is very beautiful, based on an idea that I would like to share with you, and it's in our humble Sefer on Tu B'Shvat, regarding the significance of Tu B'Shvat. Friends, there are like two general time periods of the year. There's the month of Tishrei and the month of Nisan, and they are fundamentally different. The month of Tishrei, of Rosh Hashana, is a time of din, midas hadin. We're judged then, and therefore it's a time of tshuva. Because if we don't do tshuva, there's no way to merit in judgment. And that's why Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that the world was created in Tishrei, and that means Rabbi Eliezer holds the world was created in Midas Hadin. Rabbi Eliezer also holds that Mashiach and the Geula will only come with tshuva. But the time of Nisan is a time of Rachamim. It's a time when Hashem had mercy on the Jewish people, even though we had no mitzvahs and we had no masim tovim, we were Eram be'Arya, we were Amem Tesharei Tuma. Rabbi Yeshua holds the world was created in Nisan. The world is destined to be redeemed in Nisan. That's why Rabbi Yeshua L'Shitase holds that the Geula will happen even if we don't do tshuva. Because if the Geula will happen in Nisan and the world was created in Nisan, that means Hashem has a way of redeeming us with complete rachamim, with complete mercy. Now, these two times of the year, Tishrei and Nisan, Tishrei really begins on Chaf Hei Elul, because Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Tishrei, is the first day of the creation of man. But the world was created 6 days earlier on the 25th day of Elul. Likewise, This time of the year, the month of Nisan, it really begins Yafeh Adar. If God created the world in Nisan, that means He created man in Nisan, but He created the beginning of the world, the Yesh Me'ayin, Brias Ha'olam, began on Yafeh Adar. Now we borrow the following idea of the Bnei Yissaschar. The Bnei Yissaschar teaches that the same way 40 days before a person is created, Hashem calls out that their zivug, their shidduch, bas ploini leploini, just like God proclaims so-and-so for so-and-so 40 days before they're created, so too God conceives of the idea to create the world and redeem the Jewish people 40 days before. So 40 days before Yafeh Elul is Tu B'Av, and 40 days before Yafeh Adar is Tu B'Shvat. That means on Tu B'Shvat, God conceived of the idea to create the world. He also conceives of the idea to redeem the Jewish people. So therefore, it should not come as a surprise that now, this is the week of Tu B'Shvat, when God is conceiving to redeem us. So we're going to read the Parsha of Pesach and the redemption of the Jewish people, because even though it doesn't happen until the month of Nisan, but the conception of the idea already starts now on Tu B'Shvat. So to speak, our Kriyas HaTorah is a reflection of Hashem conceiving to redeem the Jewish people. And that's a very beautiful connection between Parshas Boy and Tu B'Shvat. Okay, Rabbi Isai, that concludes our first shiur. Hang on.
Recording stopped.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.